The arrival of the family. Long ago, a man named Jacob, whose name had been changed to Israel, journeyed with his sons and all his household to a strange land called Egypt. The Nile shimmered under the desert sun, its waters carrying life to the arid shores. In this foreign land, Joseph, his beloved son who had once been sold by his brothers and risen to power, welcomed them with open arms. Joseph had become a great leader, a figure of wisdom and providence, guiding the land through seasons of plenty and famine. The sons of Israel spread out, each finding a place to settle, sowing seeds, and raising children. The land of Egypt, vast and fertile, became their home. They grew in number and strength, like grain in the sunlight, filling the houses and fields with laughter, tears, and the endless rhythm of life. The multitude grows. Years flowed on, one after another, until the people of Israel multiplied beyond measure. They became so numerous that the land seemed alive with their presence. Villages echoed with the footsteps of children running through fields, the songs of mothers, and the voices of fathers calling across the valleys. It was as if every corner of Egypt now held a spark of Israel's heritage. Their growth was a blessing, a sign of life that could not be contained. They were strong and resilient, and their numbers swelled with a vitality that seemed to challenge the very land itself. Yet, in this flourishing lay the seeds of tension, for the rulers of Egypt began to notice the strength of these strangers in their midst. The rise of a new Pharaoh. A new king rose in Egypt, a Pharaoh who knew nothing of Joseph. His eyes, hardened by suspicion, scanned the growing multitude with unease. He watched as the children of Israel multiplied, their communities expanding like the branches of a great tree. The Pharaoh felt a pang of fear, a shadow creeping into his heart. If war came, he thought, these people could side with our enemies. If trouble arose, their strength could overwhelm us. Their numbers, once unnoticed, now seemed like a threat to the stability of the throne. And so, he began to plot, weaving measures of control into the fabric of daily life. The burden of slavery. The Pharaoh summoned the Israelites and pressed upon them the weight of harsh labor. They built cities of stone, supply centers for the kingdom, places that would last through centuries yet were carved from their sweat. The Israelites worked under the scorching sun, their hands raw and blistered, their spirits tested. Brick by brick, tower by tower, the walls of Egypt rose, but so too did the groans of those who labored. Yet, even under oppression, the people of Israel multiplied and spread. The harder they were forced to work, the more they grew, like a river flowing despite dams placed in its path. Their cries became both a lament and a testament to life that could not be extinguished. The Pharaoh's cruel plan. Seeing that oppression alone could not stop their growth, Pharaoh devised a darker plan. He commanded the Hebrew midwives, women of skill and courage, to act on his fear. When the Hebrew women gave birth, the midwives were told to kill every newborn boy, sparing only the girls. Pharaoh's heart was heavy with paranoia, seeking to choke the life from those who could become warriors, leaders, or simply a people whose strength rivaled his own. But the midwives, wise and brave, feared more than Pharaoh, they feared the God of life. They let the boys live, preserving the spark of Israel. When questioned by Pharaoh, the midwives explained that the Hebrew women were strong, giving birth before help could even arrive. Their courage, their obedience to higher principles, became a quiet rebellion against tyranny. The Lord's blessing. In the midst of oppression, a whisper of divine providence wove through the lives of the Israelites. Because the midwives feared God, He blessed them with families of their own. Meanwhile, the Israelites continued to flourish, spreading throughout the land, their children playing in the dust and mud, singing as they grew. Even the Pharaoh, whose heart was unyielding, could not halt the surge of life. The people of Israel thrived, a living river of vitality, resilient and unbroken. Their story was becoming a legend in Egypt, a force that could not be bound by fear or cruelty. Reflection and Lessons. Exodus chapter 1 is a story of growth, oppression, courage, and providence. It begins with migration and settlement, showing how a small family can multiply into a nation under God's watchful care. It illustrates the tension between fear and trust, between oppression and resilience, and between human cruelty and moral courage. From this chapter, we learn the power of perseverance. Life, like the Israelites, can flourish even under harsh conditions. Courage and faith, as demonstrated by the midwives, can protect life and defy injustice. The story teaches that moral action often requires bravery against the powerful and unjust. Finally, it reminds us that growth, whether of people, ideas, or hope, cannot be suppressed by fear or oppression. Even in darkness, life finds a way to thrive. Exodus chapter 1 plants the seeds of a larger story, one of struggle, liberation, and the enduring power of hope. It asks us to witness, to act with courage, and to recognize that life itself is sacred, multiplying even where forces seek to contain it.